The governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has linked the worsening socio-economic challenges in Nigeria to failure of the federal government to live up to its responsibilities, as well as bad governance. The governor made the comments while inspecting the deplorable state of federal roads in the state, called for urgent action to salvage the situation and reduce the sufferings of commuters and other citizens. Rise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to discuss the governor's claim that Nigeria is in economic trouble owing to federal government's irresponsibility and bad governance, as he claims. Good afternoon. It's good to have you again, Mr. Sobowale.
It's a pleasure of me.
All right, so is Governor Obaseki saying anything new here? Isn't that the bane of several administrations over time, you think?
Well, I think he was annoyed by an incident when he said he crossed over from his state, Romi, to Agbo in Delta State, and on the federal road, so about 1,000 trucks stuck on the road. I don't think they will be up to 1,000, but it's a sight all over the country. Federal roads are very bad. And it's a pity the last president said his legacy is on infrastructure. Maybe it will take 10 years for the money he has put on the ground to manifest. But the roads are very bad. That must have annoyed the governor of Edo State. But to attribute that to bad governance and responsibility is political talk.
Okay.
You know, it used to be with this party before.
Indeed.
Before it crossed over. So it may be a case of sour grapes, but you must admit our roads are very bad. But then the same Obaseki said some positive things about this administration. You get me? Like he welcomed an army commander in this area, and he thanked him for helping the state to secure the state by training vigilantes. You get me? Yeah. At no price to the state. This is you see, in other states, you see governors or deputy governors quarreling with police that they should leave, that they have their own. But this is the same Obaseki commending government. And then you note that this same Obaseki blazed the trail, sort of, in the way he's doing, he's pursuing, putting digital education on the ground in the state. And it was about the first person, the first governor, to make transport free for students. So if, in spite of that, still goes ahead to say there is bad government and government is irresponsible, he has a right to say that. But my take on it is that there is some fact in what he's saying. And we all know the reason. The president came up and said fuel subsidy is gone. And things have never been the same since. It's not as if things were better before he was elected. Yeah. I would even say the situation is not more of the making of the present administration than that of the former one. But then, if you want to take me on that, you tell me that it's still the same party power. So you cannot absorb the new government of the inadequacies of its predecessor, because they are literally boss of the same feather.
Well, I mean,
something to say.
Well, I do.
Yes?
I definitely hear you.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's a case of what you ordered and then like what you got.
Get, yes.
Because the expectations were high when the Tinubu administration came in, and in spite of the fact that you say that there might also be a case of sour grapes, facts on ground show that we have been plunged into an economic crisis, and the governor made it clear. Yes, indeed. And the governor did say that now they're resorting to taking money from the internally generated revenue to look after those that can't cater for themselves as well.
I was going to talk on that.
Okay, please.
I was going to say Obaseki is a true federalist.
Okay.
Because that's the idea of federalism. All of you don't need to go Kapuna to the center to take money. I remember sometime I went on a visit to Federal Republic of Germany before it merged with the East. The city-state of Hamburg. The government does not take money from the center. It contributes money to the center. That's the sort of thing Obaseki is trying to say. That it does not need to wait for government before he looks after his people because that is his mandate. That is a very responsible government. And you see, if he can say that, it means he believes in responsibility and he believes in federalism. So he's a true federalist. It's something to be commended and to be emulated by other governors. But then, I'm not trying to dismiss the charge of bad governance and irresponsibility, but I won't go as far as to use those words. I will say that there are unexpected consequences of the fuel subsidy is gone syndrome, and we are still reeling from the effect of that.
Yeah.
It is apparent now that was said, like Bakari said, impulsively, without concrete plans being on the ground. You get me? That to me, I will say, was presumptuous, not irresponsible, because the intention was to remove an albatross, a financial albatross, from the neck of the government so that the government can take care of the people and reduce our suffering and poverty, as is expected of any responsible government. But then the plans are afoot. We just discussed what the federal government has disbursed to the states now. And we just discussed how we hope that they will be distributed equitably and relieve the suffering and poverty on the ground. Because that is the message.
You're picking your words
Very
as you should.
So, yes.
Shouldn't the president at the time also have chosen his words strategically? I know you're saying it's not irresponsible, but it was presumptuous.
Yeah,
when we look at the outcomes based on that impulsive act, it's a heavy price to pay, which might come across as relatively irresponsible.
Well, you are talking like Obaseki now. I'm saying, you can't put words into my mouth.
No.
What I'm saying, the mistake was made clearly in the front of all of us. It's not as if you have to live by it. I spoke of unintended consequences. I'm sure if he knew it would lead to this, he would not have said it the way he said it. But he has said he's president, we voted for him, he has a mandate, not Cynthia.
I didn't vote. I didn't run for president.
So he has responsibility to rectify whatever error he has made, and very fast too. Because, like I said here, some of his people in the other parties are saying that once he gets there, he must remove fuel subsidy from day one. I would say it's distractors. I said they wanted him to commit political suicide, but that was precisely what he did. But then, he can't commit suicide. That would be the easy way out. Because politically, he must rectify the situation and fast.
And of course,
And so far, it seems people have empathy, given the benefit of that. It should not lose that huge, unexpected political trust and capital, which is enjoying.
And to a large extent, government must also be a continuum.
Yes.
Despite the fact that, okay, fine, you're coming from the same party, and we all have scenarios whereby even at the campaigning stage, he did say he was going to, not going to align with subsidy issues, as it were. But I was just thinking, while you were saying the fact that Mr. Obaseki is a federalist and all that, but one would expect that state governments, by the nature of their existence, should be complementary to federal, level as well. And to his comments was largely reactionary, regarding to his experience on that stretch of road. And this argument over federal roads, state roads, local government roads, as it were, has been going on for years, even from the military.
That is what is called bureaucracy.
Yes.
Red tape.
I would have
the red tape slows delivery of public service.
Yes, but
what is wrong if a state, something is in your state, then you tell them, you repair it, you reimburse me.
Yes.
That's nothing wrong with that.
Even if you don't have
logical, plausible, sensible, pragmatic way to go about it.
And people would have seen that happening.
It's a constitutional logjam that we need to sort out. And then again, okay, maybe I'm getting very political. I would even suggest, if you have a state that is APC, and APC is in power, that state should feel free to do all the roads on its territory, and then it will be reimbursed. Because, you can have political disagreements. Opposing states will do things in a way that will jeopardize the chances of the party in power. But then, it is a constitutional political logjam. It's a high infrastructural deficit and it is going to hamper so many things. Infrastructure facilitates trade.
Indeed.
Trade facilitates development, creates wealth for the nation. So it's a huge deficit.
Yes, but Mr. Sobowale, but part of what was stated by Governor Obaseki that I find it hard to glaze over. He says workers' unions have kicked against the Nigerian government's reforms while President Tinubu has continued to appeal for understanding and calm, arguing that his actions are for the good of the country. Is it time for us to see an implementation of this listening leader? Because if unions are kicking against something and you're vehement and saying this is going to work, maybe it might be time for some middle ground, do you think?
But you are not a Japanese. Since you are in Nigeria. You
are
have
you
been
sure?
Talking about this all along. And you know what is on the ground. You are teasing me. You know what is on the ground. You get me? And I'm as concerned as yourself that this government should get its acts right. And the sooner, the better. The fuel subsidy, you saw the headline of this day yesterday. Like the fuel subsidy is gone for the fuel subsidy lives forever or something like that. Yes, that's sarcasm, but it is sarcasm to prod the government into action and redeem its reputation and image to perform.
Pro-government interaction like that. Mr. Dayo Sobowale, a Rise News analyst, I'd like to thank you for your thoughts on those issues. Good to have you with us.